Good day everyone, especially to our instructor. We are going to discuss about the chapter entitled Bureaucracy and Public Management in Democracy, Development, and Governance in the Philippines. I am Pamela May Cabrios, one of the reporters, and together with me is Mr. Ronnie Pardio. At the end of this presentation, the learners are able to identify key concepts and theoretical perspectives for the study of Philippine bureaucracy and the system of public management, transformation, and its influences. Analyze the role of Philippine bureaucracy in facilitating or hindering democracy, development, and governance, given the historical context of Philippine politics and government. Explain the issues and challenges confronting Philippine bureaucracy and its system of public management, considering current trends in globalization, sustainable development, democracy, devolution, and governance. These are the following contents of the discussion. 1. Introduction. 2. Western influences on bureaucracy and public management in the Philippines. 3. Bureaucracy and traditional public administration. 4. Changing perspectives. 5. New public administration. 6. Development administration. 7. Governance, democracy, and decentralization. 8. Philippine bureaucracy in political and historical context. 9. Pre-colonial Philippines and Spanish colonization. 10. Malolos Republic to the American colonial period. 11. The Marcos authoritarian regime, decentralization, governance, and development.
Bureaucracy. So when we say bureaucracy, it is a necessary element in the Philippine government's performance. So in understanding Philippine bureaucracy and how it functions via a system of public administration or public management, it must take into an account not only the state's ideology and constitution, but the society's culture, economy, political dynamics, as well as international factors. So, the bureaucracy of the executive branch of government essentially delivers the goods and services of the state, engages in policy implementation. So, in recent years, bureaucracy has rendered technical and professional assistance and policy formulation. So, it may be said that the history of bureaucracy has run along the country's history. Western influences on the bureaucracy and public management in the Philippines. So, in the recent years, there has been a shift to the usage of the term management instead of administration, and for that matter, public management for public administrators. So, this can help set the stage for understanding its setup and practices, as well as the changes over time. So, in American colonization and tutelage of the Philippines on democracy ushered the application of Western theories and practices on bureaucracy and management. So, the Filipino character of the bureaucracy has been shaped by the infusion of the people's culture and political behavior. Bureaucracy and traditional public administration. Spanish colonization gave the Philippines its experiences with centralized bureaucracy and public management. So, with the 1989 Philippine Revolution against Spain, the setting up of the Malolos Republic as the first Philippine Republic, and then 1899 Malolos Constitution provided a short-lived experience with organizing and managing the bureaucracy. But under American colonization and in the years of the post-World War II rehabilitation, the Philippines learned the concepts of bureaucracy and public management. The concept of bureaucracy is traced to Max Weber, 1864 to 1920, who posited it as a distinctive form of organization that is ideal for government. So in Weber's socio-political theory, bureaucracy is essentially a structured hierarchy vested in impersonal authority. Instead of tradition, charisma, and personal discretion, there are rules and procedures on which the rationality of the organizations inheres. Karl Marx's alternative perspective that the state, including its bureaucracy, is an instrument of class oppression by those who wield economic, social, and political power. But for Weber, The bureaucracy is useful for large organizations that need written rules, routine work, division of labor, and hierarchy. Let us proceed to the changing perspectives. So it is redefine the presuppositions and limits of government bureaucracy. So the era of change had been stimulated by the perceived inadequacy of traditional bureaucracy and public administration to cope with contemporary scenarios and the emergence of competing paradigms. So by the 1980s, the struggles against the Marcos regime spawned the rise of activist civil society groups that played a vital role in the downfall of President Marcos in 1986. So subsequently, the Philippines faced the demands for redemocratization. The new public administration, it emerged in the 1970s to address the gaps and problems that generated by the traditional public administration model. Development administration. It refers to the different theories and approaches for bureaucracy and public administration. Governance, democracy, and decentralization. The political and constitutional mandates enabled the new president, which is Corazon C. Aquino, to initiate changes in the bureaucracy that intended to veer it into the redemocratization process and governance framework. So the 1987 Constitution legitimized the presence of civil society, the NGOs, and community-based POs. Civil society groups channeled their track record in the development work and advocacy during Marcos regime into mainstreams of the Aquino government's service delivery and public administration system. So consequently, the bureaucracy faced the challenge of working with civil society as the new stakeholders. Furthermore, the Philippine government and its bureaucracy were influenced to consider other paradigms for the public sector, such as the shift in thinking from public administration to public management and from government to governance.
So now, let us discuss the Philippine bureaucracy in political and historical context. First, let us understand the Philippine bureaucracy. The Philippine executive bureaucracy under the president serves as the backbone of civil service. So, we all know nga ang president is mauna siya ang isa sa mangusudyo when it comes to administration of the government. It comprises professional career level officials and personnel selected through a merit system, ensuring competence and efficiency in the government operations. So let's talk about the influence of political leadership styles. Political leadership styles play a pivotal role in shaping the nuances and dynamics of the Philippine bureaucracy. So we all know nga different leaders have passed in serving the government. So through different leaders, there are also different leadership styles nga naka-influence on how the bureaucracy operates. Also, elected officials such as senators and congressmen hold significant influence over the bureaucracy. So they set policies and allocate resources which directly affect the bureaucracy's functioning and priorities. Let's talk about the impact of political parties in the Philippine bureaucracy. We believe that political parties also exert influence on the bureaucracy by aligning their members with the specific policies and ideologies. Also, we have the power of interest groups. So these interest groups advocate for specific causes and can influence the bureaucracy by lobbying for policies aligned with their interests. Also, napugtay ang public opinion. So, ang public opinion, it holds the power to sway government decisions and influence the bureaucracy. So, ang tingog sa katawhan, sa public, is na maka-affect po siya on how the administration nag-function, no? So, dako po jud og papel ang public opinion. So, in historical context, it is essential to understand the historical context to appreciate the evolution of the Philippine bureaucracy. Historical events such as colonization and the struggle for independence have left lasting imprints on its structure and functions. And now, let us discuss the pre-colonial Philippines and the Spanish colonization. So, during the pre-colonial Philippines, each barangay had its own leadership and was largely autonomous, with datos as local rulers exercising authority with their territories. So, during the Spanish centralized system, the Spanish colonizers introduced a centralized system of government which reshaped the local administrative structure. So, dito na nabago ang dagan sa atong panggoberno. So, the barangays became barrios. Municipalities were established called pueblos. Cities were organized under the cabildos, and provinces known as provincias were created. So, what are the roles of datos? So, datos were previously the territorial chiefs of barangays underwent significant changes in their roles. No? So, kaya atong na-colonize na sa Spanish, na mga kabaguhan sa ilang pagdumala. They became known as cabeza de barangay, taking on more extensive responsibilities in this new colonial hierarchy. So let's talk about cabeza de barangay. So the cabeza de barangay assumed multiple roles, mirroring the functions in modern government. So they exercise executive authority by enforcing Spanish laws. They had legislative power influencing local ordinances and policies. They even had a role in the judicial system, resolving disputes and administering justice. Now let's talk about legacy with Spanish colonization. So the Spanish centralized system left a profound impact on the Philippines that is still felt today. So dako jud kay ang impact ang pag colonize sa sa mga Spanish sa tuwa on how we govern our country, kung yun sa nato pagdala ang atong country. So, the colonial hierarchy introduced by the Spanish influenced the subsequent development of the country's administrative and political structure. So, mao ta siya makita nimo nga kung unsa jud kadako ang impact sa kadako ang kalahian during the pre-colonial and after the Spanish colonization. Now, I'll be discussing about Malola's Republic to the American colonial period. So, first, let's talk about Malola's Republic. So, during this period, the Philippines established the Malola's Republic, which boasted the first constitution in the whole Asia. So, this constitution marked an emergence of popular representative government reflecting the aspirations of the Filipino people of self-governance. So, let's have a glimpse of representative bureaucracy. So, the Malola's Republic's bureaucracy was instrumental in delivering essential services to the people. It oversaw social programs including the establishment of vocational schools, reflecting the government's commitment to the welfare and development of its citizens. So let's proceed to American colonial period. The American colonial period followed the Malola's Republic, so with the Philippines becoming colony of the United States. This period introduced a new chapter in the Philippines history marked by American governance. And so that is all about the Malolos and Malola's Republic to the American colonial period. Now let us tackle about the Marcos authoritarian regime, bureaucracy and governance. So The Marcos regime brought the bureaucracy under the influence of political power and control, and this shift had profound implications for governance in the Philippines. So, aware man tano kung unsa nga klase of governance ang martial law, and we believe na higpit you can siya, and there's a big differences kung i-compare nimo ang karon nga pag-govern og ang katong saon na during the martial law. So, let's talk about the reorganization under martial law. So, on September 21, 1972, Marcos declared martial law. This is a pivotal moment that reshaped the Philippine bureaucracy and system of public administration. So the government structure and functions were reorganized to align the authoritarian regime's objectives. During this martial law, the civil service and capability building became essential components of the bureaucracy. So this focused on enhancing the government's human resources, ensuring that officials and personnel were realigned with the regime's goals. So during this bureaucracy, it played a significant role in a decentralization effort. So this included the interface between the national and local governments, facilitating the implementation of government's policies and programs at various levels. So, the bureaucracy's contribution to national development. We believe that throughout this period, the bureaucracy pursued national development objectives in line with the regime's agenda. So, the government's role in fostering economic growth and social progress was a key aspect of governance. So, mo na siya ang mga goals o ang mga contribution sa bureaucracy during the Marcos era. So that's all.